Okay, next. Eloise thinks of a prime number between 30 and 40. Her number is X% of 121. Work out one possible value of X. Okay, well, this is an interesting one. Quite a few ways we can go about doing this. So, well, first of all, let's think of the two possible numbers, or the numbers that it could be. I think I just went straight there. So between 30 and 40, so 30 is not prime, 31 is prime, 33 is not prime because it's multiple of 3, not 35 because it's multiple of 5 and 7. 37 is prime, and 39 is not prime. So the two numbers that Eloise could possibly be thinking of are 31 and 37. And the number is X% of 121. Okay, so if it were 31, let's just say, we can do 31 out of 100, or divided by 121, and then times that answer by 100. That would be pretty much all that has to be done. So 31 out of 121, and then that times by 100. So that would be 25.6198 ... percent. So that's one possible value of X. So this is one possible value. So one possible value of X, which is cool. Then, what color should I change to? Let's go for blue. If it were 37, well, you'd do 37 over 121 times by 100. By the way, you don't have to do both because it's only saying work out one, but I'm going to work out both just in case people were trying to do, the other one. That would give you 30.5785 ... percent, and that's the other possible value. So other possible value of X. So there are two possibilities, so you don't have to write one of them on the answer line. That's why I've written it in red and in blue. Okay, next we've got part of a regular polygon with 20 sides that are shown. 20. And it says work out the size of an interior angle. Well, first of all, what even is an interior angle? Well, this is an example of an interior angle. We could use the fact quite easily that if I extend this line, then that means that this would form an exterior angle. So I've made a straight line, and an interior angle and an exterior angle, plus its respective one, will always add up to 180. That's one fact that we need. And the other thing is that the sum of all exterior angles in a polygon is equal to 360 degrees. It doesn't matter what the polygon is, it's always going to be 360. So if this has 20 sides, we can work out what one of the exterior angles is. So 360 divided by 20, well, that's going to be 18. And then, because we know that an interior angle plus an exterior angle equals 180, well, interior angle plus this one exterior angle, which is 18, equals 180. Well, that means that an interior angle is going to be 162. And that is it for that question. Moving on, a box is the shape of a cylinder on top, or of half of a cylinder rather, on top of a cuboid. Okay, and it says to work out the volume of the box. Well, we can kind of split it into two parts. We can do, it's a prism, basically. It's a prism, because a cylinder, or half a cylinder, is a prism, where the cross-section is a semicircle. And a cuboid is also a prism, where the cross-section is a rectangle. Okay, so if we work out the area of the cross-section, first of all, so area of cross-section. So we've got the 5 times 28, because that's the rectangle, right? So that's going to be, what, 140 maybe? Let me just check the calculator. Please, let me do that insanity check. Yep, 140. And then we've got this semicircle. Now, it appears that we don't have enough information, but we do know that the 28 is also the same 28 along here, which is the diameter, right? That's going to be the diameter. So therefore, the radius is going to be 14. And we know that the area of a circle is going to be pi r squared. So therefore, for a semicircle, it's going to be a half of that, right? It's going to be pi r squared over 2. So in our case, we've got pi times 14 squared, all divided by 2. So again, pi times 14 squared over 2, well, that's just going to be 98 pi. I'm going to leave it as an exact answer for now. So let me just rub this bit out. So that bit is going to be 98 pi. So the area of the cross-section is going to be those two things added together. So 140 plus 98 pi. I'm leaving it in terms of pi just because I don't have to deal with all the decimals and stuff until after. So that's the area of the cross-section. And then the length, or the depth at which it goes back, is this 17. So to work out the volume of a prism, well, it's area of cross-sectional area. It's another way they write area of cross-section. That times by the length. So that's just going to be 140 plus 98 pi multiplied by 17. And let's just work that out. So we've got 140 plus 98 pi times by 17. And that is going to be 7,613.893361. And it goes on forever. So I'm just going to write it maybe to 2 decimal places. So 7,613.89. Yeah, to 2 decimal places. So correct, to 2 decimal places. 2dp. Done. Next, James sells bathroom tiles. He increases the original price of each tile by 15%, and that goes up to £13.80. Wow, that was loud. A month later, he announces a sale. Sale is 15% off all tiles. Okay. James says the tiles will be back to their original price because each change was by 15%. Okay. Is he correct? No, he's not going to be correct. Right. Why? Because you could say yes or no, but if you pick just yes or you pick just no, even if that is the correct answer, you will not get any marks because it says show work to support your answer. So what I've done so far has not gotten me any marks. I've just ticked one. I could have done ip dip do and got that. So let's actually support our answer. Right. So we can do it in one of 2 ways. I'm going to show 2 ways in which we can do it. So if he increases the original price of each item or each tile by 15% and it goes up to £13.80, well, we basically know that if it's increased by 15%, we now have 115%, right? And that represents, in this case, £13.80. So what we could do is work out what the original price is, right? Let's just work out what the original price is. So if I go down to 1%, keeping in mind that you're dividing by 115, that's loud. £13.80. In fact, that is so loud that I'm actually going to reduce that sound. Okay, so I'm going to divide by 115 on the other side as well, because that's what you have to do. If you do this one thing to one side, you've got to do the same to the other. And that gives 0.12. And then to get to 100%, which is the original price, obviously we times by 100. So here, we're also going to times by 100. And then that's going to give £12. So we know the original price is £12. Now let's compare that to actually just taking £13.80 and reducing that by 15%. Now, if you reduce something by 15%, you go from 100% less than take away 15%, which takes you to 85%. So reducing by 15%, is the same, is equivalent to finding 85%. Because if you reduce by 15%, well, you're left with 85%, right? So I can basically times this by 85% or 0.85. So I can reduce that by 15%. And if James were correct, then what we should get is that this is equal to the same £12 that we got when we did it the first way. So we shall see. So £13.80 times by 0.85, that is going to give £11.73. So that is the working to show that, they're not the same, because 11.73 or £11.73 is not equal to £12. So then we'd say no. Yeah, another way in which you can do it is if you take some number and you increase it by 15%, well, you end up with 115%, right? So increase by 15%, you now have 115%, if assuming you started with 100%. Now, when you reduce by 15%, obviously that's the same as timesing by 0.85. This is just another method. And what we want is that calculation gives us 100%. But if it doesn't, then we can't use it. And what we get is that this actually takes us to 97.75%. But that's not the 100% that we wanted. So in actual fact, increasing by 15% and then later decreasing by 15% doesn't actually get us back to 100%. It gets us back, interestingly, to a point that's lower. So that's like another way in which we could have explained it. So 97.75% is not equal to 100%, which is our original price. So two ways of doing it, just thought I'd show both. Okay, next we've got number 15. And this is saying a buyer spinner can land on A, B, or C. The table shows the probabilities in terms of K, and it says work out the probability of K. Well, anytime you've got probabilities, the first thing we want to know is that the probabilities always add up to 1. The total probability is always 1. So we've got the three probabilities, which must all add up to 1. So we know 3.3K plus 6K minus 0.25, that's one of the other probabilities, plus 0.7K, and that's all equal to 1. Now let's collect the like terms. So 3.3K plus 6K is 9.3K plus 0.7K, which is 10K. So 10K minus 0.25 is equal to 1. If I add 0.25 to both sides, I get that 10K is equal to 1.25. I mean, I know I should use a calculator, but even for that one, oh my gosh. So K is going to be 0.125, dividing both sides by 10. And it says specifically work out the probability of B. Well, if B is equal to 6K minus 0.25, if I substitute K equals 0.125, we get 6 lots of 0.125 minus 0.25. Right, so that's 6, and you can type it in the calculator exactly as it is. So 6 bracket 0.125, close bracket, minus 0.25. Oh, dearie me, what did I do incorrectly? Oh, right. 0, and that gives a half. That gives a half, or 0.5. I'm going to write it as 0.5, though normally I do prefer fractions, but don't know, today I'm in a different mood. Next, P is the point 615, Q is the point 812, R is the point 510. Use gradients to show that angle PQR is a right angle. Okay, well, if I have PQR, I don't really need to draw like a great diagram, but I think I will just draw like a rough-ish one, just so that there's an idea. So 615 is like, I don't know, something like here. 812, or 8 is a bit more than 6, and 12 is less than, so this is P. Let's do it in different colors actually. 812 is like a bit more across, because 8 is more than 6, and 12 is not as high, so like here. So that's Q, and then R is 510, so 5 is obviously less than 6 and 8, so it's to the left. And 10 is less than the 12, so it's going to be somewhere even lower, so like something like this. And when we draw a line through it all, we want to show that this is perpendicular to this, hence it's a right angle, right? And the thing with perpendicular gradients is we have this whole negative reciprocal, or the gradients of two perpendicular lines multiply to minus 1, yeah. Multiply? Yeah, multiply. Gosh, multiply to minus 1. Yes. So gradients of two perpendicular lines have a product means times, of minus 1. So they multiply to minus 1 basically. So let's work out the gradient of PQ first. So the gradient of PQ is, so change in y over change in x. So if I have 6, 15 and 8, 12, and I use my y2, y1 formula and so on and so forth, x2, x1, our gradient is given by y2 minus y1, change in y, over x2 minus x1. So that's going to be, in this case, 12 minus 15 over 8 minus 6, giving minus 3 over 2. Now, let's work out the gradient of QR, bearing in mind that for Q, our point is 812. So let's just write that there. And R is 510. And that is going to be, so we have, I'm just going to change it now. So this is y2, y1, x2, x1. So I have y2 minus y1, so that's 10 minus 12, all over x2 minus x1, so 5 minus 8, which equals minus 2 over minus 3, which is just 2/3. Look at that, it's the negative reciprocal. So we have minus 3 over 2 times by 2/3. You can even use a calculator for this. Don't worry, I will not judge. That equals -1. Therefore, perpendicular. Therefore, right angle. And that is what we need. Next question. M squared over 2 is greater than 18. Circle the possible value of m. Okay, well, we can do this one of two ways. We could just, because it's multiple choice, we could actually just use each of the answers, square it, and see which one works out. That's one way we could do it. So if I, first of all, multiply both sides by, in fact, do you know what? Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to just take each answer, square it, divided by 2, and then see which one works out. So try each option, basically. Try each option. So let's do it. So I've got minus 5 7/8 squared over 2. This is just, you can do stuff like this. So that is what I'm going to do. And that gives us 17.25 ... So that's smaller, so it doesn't work. Okay. Let's try as our next value. Let's go for 5.8 squared over 2. That is 16.82, or that's not bigger, so that doesn't work. Next, we're going to try, by the way, I'm using the calculator for this. 6 squared over 2, well, that's just 18, so that doesn't work. So technically, by process of elimination, we know it's going to be this last one, but let's just type it in. Minus 6.5, or minus 13 over 2 squared over 2. And lo and behold, that gives us 21.125. And that is bigger than 18, so that's our answer that works. That's one way we can do it. Another way we could do it, just in case people were wondering and thinking, is we could actually solve the inequality. So we've got m squared is greater than 36, so multiplying both sides by 2. Then what we could do, in fact, this is one thing I want to point something out. Whenever you're solving a quadratic inequality, even if it looks as simple as this, always make it equal to 0, or compare it to 0. So not make it equal because it's not an equation. M squared minus 36 is greater than 0. Then imagine you were solving it. So here you could factorize it by a difference of 2 squares to m minus 6, m plus 6, greater than 0. And then here we draw a little graph, a little sketch. If m minus 6, m plus 6 were equal to 0, you could then sketch a little quadratic that goes through minus 6 and plus 6, like that. Now, you don't have to do all of this for this question, but it's a good thing to know in general when you're sketching quadratics, when you're solving quadratic inequalities, because there are some that can be a lot harder. And because we're looking for what's greater than 0, anything here to the left of minus 6, because it's above the x-axis, and anything here above the x-axis also works. Okay, that means anything less than minus 6 or greater than 6 would work. And we see here that this answer is less than minus 6, as in minus 13 over 2. Anyway, that was just like a little quick overview. I do have videos actually on solving quadratic inequalities that go in more depth, so feel free to check that out. So simplify x squared times w to the power of 0. Well, w to the power of 0 is just 1, isn't it? So x squared times 1, which is just x squared. So there we go. Next, the equation of a circle is x squared plus y squared equals 17. Work out the length of the diameter and circle the answer. Well, in general, the equation of a circle is x squared, or this kind of circle anyway, where the origin is the center of the circle. X squared plus y squared is equal to r squared. So that means that r squared is equal to 17, where r is radius. So the radius is equal to the square root of 17. Therefore, the diameter is going to be 2 times the radius, right? Diameter equals 2r, which equals 2 root 17. So it's this answer, or this option there. Okay, moving on. Next it says a over b is equal to 5c, and b over c is equal to 3. All right. So work out the value of a when c equals 6. Okay. Well, let's substitute c equals 6 then. So sub c equals 6. Let's make this pen a little bit smaller. So we get a over b is equal to 5 lots of 6, just subbing into the first equation, right? So we get a over b is equal to 30. Then, in the other equation, if we substitute, I'm just going to change the color. We have b over c, which is 6. So that's b over 6, just trying to make the b and the 6 look different, is equal to 3. So in actual fact, we can solve here that b is equal to 3 times 6, which is 18. Pretty cool. Now we know b is 18. So if I put it back into this equation now, this first equation that we had, instead of writing a over b, I can now write a over 18. And that's equal to 30. Then a is equal to 30 times 18, timesing both sides by 18. So 30 times 18, what is that going to be? Ooh, dear. Yes, I'm shamelessly using that calculator. Is equal to 540. 540. So that's our final answer. There we go. Right, let's keep going. We're actually not doing too badly here. Here's some information about the weights of chimpanzees in a forest, okay? Fine. So we've got that information, and we have the weights given to us, and we've got the frequency that is given to us.